a lot of steps and water in the middle. This is an ancient practice of water budgeting and auditing. So depending on how many steps are visible, the water auditors of those days would determine how much water is available in the region. And depending on the water availability, they would plan different activities in the kingdom. So water budgeting and auditing is not a new science. This has been, and this image which you see on the screen right now, it is from a temple in Hampi, which was built during the Vijayanagara dynasty, almost 1,000 years ago. There are communities which are called Nirkatti in South India, who manage water in different regions. So coming back to today's present age, and today's session, today we're going to look at firstly we're going to talk about the national water policy. What is the national water policy? What does it say? We'll look at it briefly. Uh, and we look into what is water audit, its benefits. We look into what is a process. We look at water budgeting, and in the water audit process, what is called a process study, system audit, and we'll do a small case study about a audit report. And then we look at what is a water budget, water balance. And I would request you, I will give you a brief moment after each and covering each and every topic, so that if you have any questions, you can type your questions in the chat room, in the chat box, and we will take the questions then. And to the end of the session, we will have a brief Q&A session, where whatever questions you have, if you can submit it in the chat box, we can discuss those things. Okay. All right. So firstly, let's look into what is the national water policy. So we're going to look into the preamble. And the national water policy, it's basically, it determines what is the uh, how different water projects are to be handled, and what is the management framework for water resources across India. So firstly, the national water policy recognizes water as a scarce natural resource. So we know that we all have experienced it in different seasons, during summers, during drought seasons, in different sectors, in agriculture, in industries, in domestic. So we have experienced the scarcity of water during different seasons. So the national water policy identifies and recognizes water as a scarce natural resource. And it talks about it's fundamental to life, livelihood, food security, sustainable development. I'm sure most of you are aware of the sustainable development goals. And India has, and why it's become so scarce. I'm sure today you must have discussed this during the session on climate change. What are the changes in our weather and why is water becoming scarce? So India, we have about 18% of the world's population, but we have only 4% of renewable water resource, and we have only 2.4% of the land resources. One of the major challenges of water is its uneven distribution over time and space. I want to focus on this phrase, uneven distribution over time and space. Overall, in an year, the amount of water we get through rains may be constant. It may be same, but at every point and place, the water availability is different. For example, in summer, the water is scarce. In winter, the water is available, is moderately available. In rainy season, the water is, you have floods in many places. And at the same time, it's just not about time. In the same area, like in 2017, when we had floods in Kerala, We have seen that there was flooding, and immediately 1 month after the flooding there was drought in Kerala. So this is a very startling pattern that we have been observing. Right now, if you see in Mumbai has received almost about 300% of its more about 300% of its annual rainfall. But Mumbai frequently experiences drought. Same as the case in Chennai. Chennai last year it has almost dried out. But if you see in the month of March and May and June, there was very scarce water in Chennai. But in the month of November and December, there were floods in Chennai. So these are some of the challenges, and that is a very unique characteristic of water resource, is that in our environment it is distributed unevenly over time and space. Right, we do not have a constant supply of water. And next, the preamble says low consciousness about scarcity of water. So most of us, we do not understand, or at least have a scientific understanding of what water scarcity means, and what is it, and it's leading to, and it's sustaining an economic value resulting in its mismanagement. So one of the biggest challenges of water is not of water availability, but that of water mismanagement. We'll see what is mismanagement of water and what does it mean when you say mismanagement. Wastage, inefficient use, also pollution. And I want to highlight one more point: reduction of flows to below minimum ecological needs. What is reduction of flows to below minimal economic needs is ecological needs. Sorry, ecological needs is, when you say ecological needs, we are not talking about water availability and usage only by humans. In the environment, every species and every ecosystem has equal right on water. Humans are not the only custodians and the consumers of water. The trees need water, the animals need water. You need water, fresh, clean water for fish. You need fresh, clean water for animals. You need, as much as air is a, we are one of the only consumers. We are not the only consumers, we are one of the consumers of these natural resources. So it is very important that we understand that humans, that we are one of the consumers and not the only consumers. And this is very rightly identified in our national water policy. It says that we need for below minimum ecological needs. So this, because of mismanagement, now there is below minimum ecological needs of water. So, and I would encourage you all to please visit the Jal Mantralaya website. That is, just a second, I will show you the website, and there you can go through the detailed policy document. This is the Ministry of Jal Shakti, Department of Water Resources website. Please go there and you will see the National Water Policy document. It will give you a much deeper understanding of what the national water policy actually talks about. And so, going ahead, we'll see what is water audit. Excuse me. Uh, okay, right. First, we'll talk about what is water budget. So, water budget is defined as the relationship between the inflow and outflow of water through a specified region. So what does this mean? This means that how much water is flowing into a region. So this, when we say a region, it can mean a state, it can mean a city, it can mean a colony, it can mean a campus, it can mean a house. So when we say So water budget, it talks about how much water is flowing into a state, into the country, into the city, or into any region, into any confined region. So what is the amount of water coming in and what is the amount of water going through out. It gives a comparison between the supply and demand of water. What is the supply of water? So how much water is coming in, and demand is what is the amount of water being consumed in that region, and how much of water is going out, making it possible to identify excess and deficit precipitation. And availability of water depends on various factors such as water cycle, available of water surface water. When we say surface water, we're talking of water in our lakes, rivers, aquifers, and other surface water, wetlands. So when we say water budget is basically how much water is required for each region, each sector, and each activity. And how do we calculate this water budget and how do we allocate is a process of water auditing. Okay, so that is why you look at these two concept in tandem. So we look at water budgeting and then we look at water auditing. So water budgeting is identifying what is the amount of water available, what is the amount of water leaving a system or a ecosystem. So, and the method of understanding water budget and calculating is similar to that of a water audit. So in view of the time, we are going to discuss only about the water audit process, but the steps that you use in auditing is the same steps you will be using in budget. Then what is the difference between an audit and a budget? So one main difference between an audit and a budget is a budget is prepared before consumption. So let us say you want to understand the water demand of in a particular year. So at the beginning of the year, you prepare something called a water budget. And after consumption to the end of the year, you prepare something called a water audit. And this is if any of you are from the financial market side and financial sector side, you will understand that this is very true even for our income taxes and all. We prepare our budget at the beginning of the year and we do our audit to the end of the year. So what is an water audit? Water audit is a qualitative and quantitative analysis of water consumption. Qualitative and quantitative. So what is, so we'll go deeper into these mean in just a moment. And what is the purpose of doing an audit? To identify means of reducing, reusing, and recycling of water. That is the main purpose of the reason you want to do a water audit is so that you can reduce the water. Reducing use of water is not denying the usage of water. Please, there is a difference between, if I need X liters of water, if I'm consuming X liters of water, it doesn't mean that I need X liters of water. Okay, so X can be more than what I need. So consuming as per the need is called reducing. Okay, reusing. How can we reuse water? What do you mean by reusing water? And next, recycling of water. Recycling means how can we bring a water that has been used into a system again. So this is and what is the purpose of a water audit? Why do we need to do a water audit? So we have just seen that low conscience about scarcity of water and its life sustaining and economic value. results in mismanagement, wastage, and inefficient use. So, to overcome these challenges, we use auditing and to make sure that there is equitable distribution of water. So, one of the main purposes of our Jal Shakti Mantralaya or our water resources ministry of water resources is that there is equity in water distribution. Equity in water distribution means to meet the needs of every sector, every region, and every ecosystem. And I want to stress that when we say ecosystem, we are not just talking about human ecosystem, but the natural ecosystem also. We have to make sure that there is water availability even in the natural ecosystem, for the plants, for the animals, for the fish. So this is what the Ministry of Water Resources aims at. It makes to make sure that there is water available to meet the needs of each and every ecosystem. So now we're going to go into the next part of seeing what are the steps in a water audit. So the first step is we called water supply and usage study. Water supply and usage study. So what is the water supply and usage study? It is water audit comprises of preparation of layout of water resources, identifying what are the water resources. So you can have water resources from within a system. Like if you are taking the case of a campus, you can get water from the municipality, you can get water from your own borewell, you can be consuming your own rainwater. Many institutions do that. And so what are the different sources you are getting your water from? So that is the first thing. Then you have something called the distribution network. So what is the distribution network of water in your system? When I use the word system, we mean it can be anything. It can be as large as a city or a state, or it can be as small as a house, a single unit house. So this concept can be used for a different scale, for different scales. So what is a distribution network inside your house, inside your campus, inside your city, inside your region, inside your state? So understanding that and mapping that is called water supply and usage study. So if you take the case of a household, you have something, you have a main pipeline which passes from in front of the house. From there, a subline comes into your house. Over there, you have a small meter. From there, water goes into the overhead tank. Water gets stored into the sump. From the sump, it goes into the overhead tank. So identifying this network is called is part of the water supply and usage study. And then what are the different service and delivery points? Service and delivery points, when we are, if you're in a house, a tap is a service point, it's a delivery point. Your shower is a service point or a delivery point. If you are in a your garden pipe is a service point or a delivery point. But if you take a larger network like a city, so water comes from a reservoir, so each individual household becomes a service point or a delivery point. Each consumption point is the called a service point or a delivery point to water users. And return flows of waste or excess water. What is return flows of waste or excess water? Water which goes back into the system from the sewers after we use, the water which goes out of the system is our discharge. So for a household, you have a smallage drainage system. For institutions and campuses, you have a bigger drainage system. Cities have a larger drainage system, and each of these excess water and wastewater systems, they also have something called a treatment system. So we're going to look more deeper into those systems. But the first stage of a water audit is a water supply and usage system. Where are you getting the water from? How is the water being supplied? And how is the water being consumed, through how many discharge point, how many delivery points, and how many so service and delivery points. And fourth one is return flow of excess or waste waters. How is the water going out? How is the excess and waste waters going out? Raised. Is there any questions you want to address right now, or shall we move on?
So you
Let me
continue,
just.
sir. You continue,
All
sir.
right, ma'am.
Finally, we will have the question.
All right, ma'am. Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have seen what is the supply and usage system. Now, next we are going to see what is the process study. What do you mean by a water process? Process study maps the quality and quantity of water at strategic points. So, what does that mean? So, when you see a water process study, if you take the example of the university campus, the water that is used to garden for gardening is not the same water that is being consumed for drinking. The water that is used in the labs is not same as the water that is being used in the toilets. So for different service and discharge points, delivery points, you have different quality of water that is being used. So maybe you will be using direct groundwater for gardening, and in some facilities, in some institutions, they use their the excess water, the waste water, for gardening. And in some places they reuse the wastewater again for uh, for in their toilets for flushing. So a process study is, we have identified our sources, we have identified our delivery and service points. Now we are going to see what is the quality and quantity of water required for different purposes. So if you are taking the example of a household, so you are going to measure how much water is required in a kitchen, how much water is required in the washroom, how much water is required for gardening, how much water is required for bathing, because all these different services need different quantity of water. You're going to, and one more main purpose, the purpose of doing this exercise is identify how much water is being wasted or being used inefficiently. Is there is Can the efficiency of water be increased at any of the systems? So inefficient use happens because of two or three reasons. So one reason for inefficient use is usually because of leakages. So one is leakages, and the second is inefficient discharge. Maybe for mostly this happens in gardening. You might be using a pipe to water a garden, right? So if it is a pipe which doesn't have a sprinkler, more water is consumed. But if you use a sprinkler, with the same amount of water, you can garden more area. So you identify how efficiently water is being used for different purposes. Identify the leaks. So at different points, are there any leaks? Is there any water loss? Is there any inefficient use? So when you're talking about leaks, you have basically three types of water leakages. One is called background leakages. Background leakages are some things which we do not see and it is happening, like maybe a small crack in the pipe which is underground and it is continuously leaking. Then you have unreported leakages. We all must have seen that on the roads there is always water leaking through some pipe, there is always water leaking through some rooftop. So these are unreported leakages. Then you have something called reported leakages. So usually what happens is when the water leak is inside our house, we treat it as a reported leak, and when it causes inconvenience to us, we could treat it as a reported leakage. So if you see, uh, background leakages are there for a long period of time, and because they are very small in quantity, it keeps happening for a long period of time and they are not reported. And then you have unreported leakages. They also happen for a very long time. And reported leakages are something which are addressed very very urgently. So the purpose when you're doing a process study is to identify these background leakages and make them as reported leakages. Whatever is a background leakage, whatever is an unreported leakage, it has to be addressed as a reported leakage. So the aim of the process study, the objective is to increase the efficiency of water at every service or delivery point. So the next point we're going to look at is a system audit. What do you mean by a system audit? A system, the current water usage and systems for water use under various sectors such as industry, irrigation industry, commerce, hydropower, domestic. So, what domestic water supply, thermal power, other needs need to be studied to check their optimal efficiency and level of maintenance. So, we have seen, if there is in the previous, in the previous slide, we have seen a process. So, what are the different discharge points, and how is the efficiency over there? So the same thing, we are going to see that what is the efficiency of water at different discharge point, how much water. So we are checking the leakages and any losses in the previous part when we are discussing about process study. And when we talk about system audit, we are going to see how much water is actually being consumed. So how much water, if you can see these diagrams, it will show how much water do we consume for drinking, how much water do we consume for our toilets, how much water do we consume for washing our clothes, how much water do we consume in the faucets. The same way, at a larger scale, when you're taking at a city level or a state level, we will also, when you say a system audit will see how much water is being consumed by different sectors or different regions. Different sectors as in agriculture, what is the amount of water being used, how much water is being consumed, not required but being consumed, is consumed in the agriculture sector, how much water is being consumed in the industrial sector, how much water is being consumed by the domestic uh, domestic sector, that is the towns and municipalities. So uh, like our housing colonies in for domestic consumption. So a system audit determines how much water is being consumed for different purposes. Moving on, next we're going to look at a discharge analysis. What so we were so when we were looking at the preamble in the national water policy, we were seeing that we were seeing that it also wastage and inefficient usage. So when we're talking about wastage, we definitely have to look, we are talking about wastages. So when we say wastage, we'll definitely have to look into what is the discharge, how is water going outside the system, how does water go outside the system? Through sewages, our sewage lines. So that is one thing, is a wastewater. And the second thing we have already discussed, that is through leakages. So this thing is called discharge analysis. So when you say discharge analysis, you identify what at every service point, that is at every service point, what is the amount of wastewater and what is the quality of the wastewater that is going out. So if you see, for example, in a kitchen, you use water to wash your vegetables, your rice, then you use water to wash your utensils. So you identify what is the amount of water that is going into the drainage and what is the quality of the water that is going into the drainage. Can And that is true for different sectors also. In industries, you have water being used for different processes. So water being used for cleaning, water being used for diluting, water used for washing. So after using the water, what is the water that is being discharged? How is it being discharged? What is the quality of the water being discharged? So the purpose of understanding discharge is so that finding out scope for reusing of water. Can the water be reused? Can the water be recycled? Can the water be, or can the water, or does the water need to be only disposed? So an efficient discharge analysis will tell you of what can the water be reused. So usually the calculation is, if you are using X amount of water, 80% of the water is discharged. So, and if this water can be reused, the water efficiency can be greatly increased. I'll give you an example. So the water which comes out of the kitchen, so many by using only primary treatment. Primary treatment is basic level of treatment of just uh, basic filtration. This water can be reused for a kitchen garden, for the gardening purpose. So the efficiency of water is increasing. And industrial waters, nowadays there are many standards for industrial water treatment. Every manufacturing unit should have a wastewater treatment plant. They have to treat water to meet certain standards, prescribed industry standards. And if those standards are not met, so the water cannot be discharged into the natural system, into the open drainages, only after treatment to a certain degree. So this is why discharge analysis becomes very important. And once this water is treated, it can be reused. And sometimes water during treatment, a lot of minerals are extracted from the treatment process, and those minerals are treated, used. And this water can also be recycled and repurposed within the plants. Many of the manufacturers now, what they do is they recycle and repurpose the water. So this is talking about discharge analysis. So finally coming to what is called as a water balance. So the entire purpose of doing a water audit, what we call as a water balance. A water balance is a mechanism to see how much revenue a water is generating for a system. So our water, so usually governments take the responsibility of supplying water. Governments take this, and to supply water, the government does spend a lot of money into sourcing water, getting water from different sources, treating water, supplying water, and even discharging of water. So for that, finally it comes down to preparing what is called a water balance. A water balance basically talks about, if X amount of water is supplied into a system, what is the share of revenue water and what is the share of non-revenue water. So when we say revenue water, revenue water is what is billed and for which the government collects money, and there is non-revenue money, water. The water is supplied, but the water is not paid for. The government does not receive revenue for that water. So let's take a deeper look into the water balance. So first on the left you see the blue side, that is called a system input. So you either have produced water or purchased water. Produced water is basically water which is there within a system. If you are doing an audit of a building, so the rainwater which the campus consumes or the building consumes and the groundwater is called produced water. And whereas water which comes from municipality supply is called imported water, or it is called purchased water. Then you have authorized consumptions, and then you have water losses. Authorized consumption is basically the water for which you get your bill. And then you say water losses. Water losses, again in water losses, we have apparent losses and real losses. Apparent losses, we'll talk about it. Real losses are losses because of leakages or of wastage and inefficient use. Apparent losses are basically inaccuracies in billing and metering. When the metering system is not accurate, then that causes apparent losses. Then you have billed metered consumption. Then you have billed unmetered consumption, and you have unbilled metered consumption and unbilled unmetered consumption. Then unauthorized consumption, then consumer meter inaccuracies that comes in apparent losses, leakages in transmission, storage leakages, overflows from tank, service connection leakages. So this entire red part of this water balance sheet is your non-revenue water, and these are the different components of it. Please don't get daunted by by the terms over here. I will be sharing a tool to make you understand these things very easily. Here we'll just have a brief overview of this thing. Then what we have is a revenue water. Our So revenue water is your billed metered consumption and billed unmetered consumption. So I will just give you an example. So I will be sharing a tool with Mr. Sujjan and Shashikala madam. So they can share it with you. It is called AWWA. It is a water auditing tool. I will be sharing this with you. So this sheet is something which is universally used for the purpose of water auditing. It is so the end of this, one second. So the objective of this sheet is to come to what is called our water balance. It will give you the different, it is a very interactive sheet, and then you have all the information you need for performing a simple auditing exercise. Okay, and just a moment. Okay, so moving ahead, we will now look at a small case study of a water audit case study and how a water audit case has to be presented. Excuse me, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Yeah, Joe.
Yes, please.
Uh, Ma'am, are you able to see my screen? I'm sharing a case study.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
right, right. I just wanted to.
Joel, can you increase the font size?
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. I'll increase the font size.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this better?
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
better.
it is better.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So, this is a typical water audit sheet. So, every water audit process has three phases. So, first phase is what we call as a pre-audit phase. So, the pre-audit phase is basic information about a industry or an institution or whichever is the entity for which you are doing the audit. Then, so this is the name of the institution you have over here, the location of it, and the second part. And in the pre-audit phase you have something called the water supply. The second part is what is the source of water. What is the source of water? So what is the water supply? So how much water is the institution getting from different sources? So in the pre-audit phase, one is the basic information, and then you have something called the water source part. So how much, what is the annual incoming water from the corporation? Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation is the case we have taken here. How much is a corporation supplying them? How much are they buying from tankers for each month? And how much water are they getting from rainwater harvesting? Okay. Then you have the domestic excuse me, right. Then you have the process audit. So here you have what is the water consumption. So for different services, for different discharges or delivery points, what is the amount of water that is required? So first we are seeing is the industrial processing, how much water is required for that. So if you see the report, it says the industry requires water for the purpose of chilling, that is heated components, around 2500 liters of water evaporation loss per day for this process, thus 73 meter cube per month. So this is what is the water required for this purpose. Then you have what is the domestic usage, how much water is used for domestic usage, what are the number of facilities they have. Then you have for other purposes. Other purposes are basically for gardening, for small taps. So these, so based on this information you prepare a table of what is the amount of water consumed per month. So the corporation water, how much water are for each of the supplied. So you are getting water supply from the development corporation, and then you're getting water supply from the tankers. So how much of the development corporation water is being consumed and how much the tanker water is being consumed? So this is the second part of it. Then we will also calculate what are the water wastage and losses at different discharge points. So this is all done through physical survey and assessment. You use a lot of flow gauge meters to check what is the leakage of water from these different discharge points, and then you quantify how much water is being lost And what is the value of the water lost? What is the economic value of the water lost? Not just the quantity, but what is the economic value? How do you know the economic value? Because you are purchasing water from the development corporation at 16 rupees per meter cube. You are purchasing tanker water at 90 rupees per meter cube. So you know what is the water amount you're paying for different water sources. And when water is being wasted from each of these sources, you can calculate what is the amount of economic loss for each of these water sources. Then you do a water consumption chart. You can represent how much water is being consumed for the industrial process, for the domestic process, and how much is for the gardening and other, and how much is for leakages. So if you see, around 22% of water is being lost in leakages. So based on identifying this, how much water is being lost, you can give suggestions to the client as to what necessary steps, as to how can you fix these leakages, how can you increase the efficiency of water consumption. And so these are the sources of waste and how to address the waste. Then your final post audit process comes. Post audit is the final part where you give your suggestions and your recommendations based on your findings. You analyze, you survey, and you find out how much water is being sourced, how much water mm, uh, is being purchased from the development corporation, how much is purchased from the tankers, how much is drawn from the groundwater, how much is you're getting from the rainwater, and you're identifying how much of water is being lost through leakages, through wastage, and then how much of water can. So now comes the final part of recommending of how to increase their efficiency and productivity of water. So first step always is to bring awareness. Make sure people are aware of water wastages. So as soon as you, so that is the first step always in a water audit report, is how efficient is the awareness mechanism in an institution. Are people aware that they are wasting water? So many of the times, if you have gone to washrooms in many public places, you must have seen a small sticker being stuck that please turn off the taps after use, or so that is awareness. Please make sure that all the taps are turned off when you are leaving the room. That is awareness. So how efficient is the awareness in the system? Then, so through posters, stickers, then suggestion of water conservation. What can they do? What are the water leakages? Which systems need to be repaired? Which systems need to be upgraded? Which systems are not being maintained well? Or where can you replace old systems? That is water suggestions on water conservation. And apart from fixing and maintaining, there are other conservation practices also. We will be focusing more on conservation in my next session. But in the report, this information on water conservation is very, very important. And finally, you give your suggestions, and this is a very, very simple and basic water audit report format. This same format can be used at different scales. You can use this format for auditing water for an industry, for an institution, for a city also. There'll be, so this make it, the system and the format is the same, just that the scale at which you do will be changing. Now I just want to show you couple of formats which is prescribed by the government for water auditing. So this is a domestic water audit assessment template. for domestic purposes, for domestic water audit, this is a template which has been prescribed in the Government of India guidelines. So you see, you identify what is the rate of discharge, how much, that is how much water is flowing in through the tap at different utilities in different points of the house, like kitchen, bathroom, other facilities, showers, toilets, washing machine, dishwashers. And then rate of discharge, first thing is how much water is coming out from each point per minute. Then what is the duration of use, how long do you use this uh, discharge point in a day, average quantity per use, then number of usage. That will give you the total daily usage of from each of these things. And once you get the total usage, you can calculate the per capita daily water usage from each of the systems, and the total will give you per capita daily water usage in liters. So this is a format that has been prescribed, and there are several formats, but this is very simple, and it can be used from one household, and it can be used for townships. We have used this format for institutions. We have used this format to do water audit for several institutions, and both government and private. So, and then this is a format for industrial water audit, for domestic and industrial water audit. So these, all the line items may not be there for each and every place, but as per different institutions, you will be filling out this thing. So these are two prescribed formats for water audit in the water audit that has been prescribed. So I will be sharing with you this document also with ma'am. This is the guidelines for water audit and conservation that has been prescribed for the Ministry of Water Resources. Now, we are very short on time, so quickly, if you have any questions, let's address those. Hello.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, ma'am.
Now, Srijan will take the questions.
Madam, thank you, madam. Joel, thanks for the nice presentation. We have got a broad idea on how water is and how we should do the water budgeting. So we have a few questions. Can we take them, Joel?
Definitely, definitely.
See, one question asked by Indrani Saha. She says, due to COVID-19 situation, a lot of water has been consumed for washing hands frequently. How
Right.
to measure it and account for it?
Hi, Indrani. Thank you for the question. It's a very interesting question, and very pertinent to the current situation we are facing right now. So, if you see, we were just talking about different formats for auditing water. So, if you are talking about a hospital, so because the water being used at a domestic level is different, the water being used at at an institutional level is different. So we have some formats, and just by applying the principles we have been discussing today, I know uh, we didn't get the time to go in detail into each of these concepts, but by identifying where are we using water, by identifying how much are we using water, like if I am using washing my hands for 20 seconds, so which is being prescribed right now, that so for 20 seconds how much water am I using. The tap is usually, if the tap is on for 20 seconds, how much water goes away, you can calculate that thing just by using a simple 1 liter mug and a stopwatch. So that is how you can identify how much water. And my suggestion is, usually you wet your hands, apply soap, and switch off the tap, clean your hands, then again switch on the tap. So that way you can be more efficient in using water. I hope I answered the question.
She want to ask the question through mic. So kindly raise your hand, madam. Yeah, you can unmute your mic and pose the question to.
Hello, sir. Very nice, interesting question. But the thing is that
Thank
we
you.
are 130 million. We are 130 million people who have been advised to use water 20 seconds every time, right? The
Yes.
consumption of water is too much, and we are also very scared whether the water is also infected. So this water has to be again, it has to be filtered or some process will be there. So in the system audit, like I'm a chartered accountant, in an audit, there is a provision of contingency. So is there any contingency thing in the water audit and all?
Ma'am, in water audit, so we have different water qualities for different purposes. So firstly, so we were discussing about the process in that the water into the system might be from a common source, right? So let's take the case of a household usage. The water into the household is from a municipality connection, so that quality of water is constant. But then for different purposes in the house, we change the quality of water. So for drinking water, we have a different quality. We have different filters and processing units, and at the same time for using in washrooms, we have different quality of water. So the quality of water changes from time to time. And talking about spreading of infection through waters, I don't think I will be the right person to answer that, madam. And so I guess we will have to address this with someone who's more knowledgeable in this on that, if
Thank you,
infections
Joel.
can spread through that.
Madam, anything to say, Madam
Yeah,
Shashikala?
yeah, yeah. Actually, when we are, Madam Indrani Garu, I would like to answer this question to my knowledge. When we are washing our hands with the soap, the intention of using soap is to kill the these virus, right? So after washing, I think there won't be any virus left. So there won't be any problem to the water, the spent water, especially in this way. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Sir,
Shashikala madam.
Joel, sir, we
Thank you
have
very
one more
much.
question. When there is no water meter reading, how to find out real consumption?
When there is no water meter reading, so usually when there are no water meters and you need to do an audit, so firstly the purpose of knowing real consumption is to do an audit, right? Is that the purpose, for audit purpose?
Maybe the question is very
Yeah.
precise.
Okay. So if you are doing, so one thing when we teach, when we are doing the course on water audit and budgeting, one very simple thing we tell our students is that take a 1 liter bottle, go to a tap, check your watch, how much time does it take to fill the bottle, 1 liter bottle. You will know how many seconds it takes to fill a 1 liter bottle. So that is how you determine the flow rate. Even if you're using a flow meter, the flow meter also tells you the same thing. So this is, if you, so you have told that there are no meters in place. So this is one very simple technique we use. Just use a 1 liter container which is exactly just calibrated, and take it to a tap, and you can use a stopwatch and calculate how much water, how much time it takes to fill 1 liter.
Sir, we have one more question, sir.
Right.
How safe is the kitchen waste and bathroom waste, grey water, to the garden plants?
Kitchen waste, so you have to make sure that nothing else is going into the kitchen waste water, like you're not putting any uh, of these disinfectant acids or any other kinds of chemicals into the sink or into the drain. So as long as it is only kitchen waste gray water, yes, you can definitely use it for gardening purpose.
So we
But
have
make sure the water is never stagnant, because if the water Once you let it out into the garden, and if the water is stagnant, what happens is it causes mosquito breeding. So this water should not be stagnant, it has to be flowing, and it has to be quickly percolated into the ground.
Yeah, we have multiple questions, sir, but we are not going to take every question in.
Right.
We would like to give mail IDs of the resource person so you can contact. But before ending the question session, I would like to ask one more question. There is one question in the question and answer box. For sugarcane cultivation, a lot of water is used by farmers knowingly.
Right.
So how we audit it? So this is one question. And there is another important question for conducting audit at institution level, which organization we should approach? And these are the two questions.
So right now, okay. We'll address the first question that we are talking about sugarcane. So, but we can use the same principle for auditing what is the amount of water that is required to cultivate any crop. So the first thing is, and this is a major challenge in most of India, is that we do not have meters. It is irrespective. Now the government has been proactively pushing even for metering groundwater. So once we have a metering system, only then we can accurately measure what is the amount of water being used to for irrigation purpose. And in like you rightly said, for sugarcane and paddy, we use a lot of flood irrigation mechanism, and flood irrigation consumes a lot of water. And so usually I am not right now, I do not have the numbers for what is the amount of water for sugarcane and paddy, but definitely they are much more compared to other crops. And this can just, and one of, and the only solution is, first thing is there has to be meters to assess how much water is being used. And after, once we are conscious and we are aware of how much water is being used, then we can definitely make it more efficient, because unless we do not have accurate data of how much is being used, we will not know how much to make it more accurate, right? And sorry, what was the second question? It was
Uh,
about whom to approach,
yeah,
right?
institute.
Which institute? So right now, one institute I can suggest is you can approach EPTRA. EPTRA has been training 3 batches of water auditors and water auditors, so they can who can readily come and audit your water consumption for different institutes. And there are a couple of what consultancies. One consultancy I know is called Vyoma. I think one of the persons from Vyoma is going to be a speaker in this training session also. So you can definitely approach them. There are several private firms, but then there is a scope for a lot and lot more trained professionals in this field. Sujan, have I answered that?
Yeah, thank
Right.
you. Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Over to Sasikala, madam.
Thank you, Srijan. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Thank you very much, Joel. You have
you.
given very informative and very nice talk. Your talk was very clear, and your dissipating knowledge is very good. And here the participants are like students, scholars, and even the faculty members too. So you have opened a gate, like, okay, for the students who can think of this as their profession, and they can search for further knowledge in these areas, and they can adopt this as one of their profession. Your lecture was very interesting, and it was very useful. Hope you will be giving more insights in next coming our session. Thank you very much, Joel. Thank you very, very much.
Ma'am, may I just add one point before I sign off?
Definitely, definitely.
Uh,
You can.
to all the participants, I just want to tell you that today's session is just to give you an understanding of what water auditing is. It is a very deep subject, and right now, Ministry of Environment, MOFCC, Environment, Forestry, and Climate Change, is conducting training on water auditing and budgeting. So you can get information from their website. Every year, I think around 5 batches are being trained across India. So if you are interested in the topic, in the subject, and want to gain more knowledge, you can please visit the site and apply for this course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joel.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Rujan. Next speaker is in the participants.
Sir has been added to the panel, madam.
Uh, then shall we start the next session lecture?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Can I introduce the speaker?
Just now, just now. So now we are going to have a renowned person from Kenya. He is going to speak effective microorganisms in solid waste management by Dr. Freddie Acosta, a senior lecturer in technology and innovation. Welcome to you, sir. And now I request Srujan to introduce today's speaker.
Thank you, madam, for the opportunity. It is my privilege to introduce Dr. Freddie Acosta to you all. Dr. Fred Acosta is currently a senior lecturer of Technology and Innovation Management at Strathmore Business School. He worked as computer program, system network engineer and entrepreneur in his early career. He was assistant professor at University of Bagoy, Oliverage College, Masapu Institute of Technology and Lyceum of Philippines. He joined Strathmore University in 2004 as a senior lecturer to teach information systems, and he is academic director faculty of information technology. Later, he was appointed coordinator of School of Graduate Studies and faculty director at the Business School. He also served as visiting professor at the International School of Management, Segal, Southeast Asian Business Studies, Philippines, Gordon Institute of Business Science, South Africa, and Ghana Institute of Management and Public Administration, Ghana. In the most recent past, he had the opportunity to work as Chief Information Officer of the Regional Energy Company in charge of the group's ICT in East and Central Africa. Currently, he sits in the board of Carroll Technologies. Dr. Acosta has studied extensively on the impact of information and communication technologies on organizational and individual work practices. His area of research pivots around the interplay of strategic management and information systems, as well as on the role of new information and communication technologies for organizational learning, knowledge management, transformation, and innovation. He has studied problems of technology, adoption of the internet services, implementation in great depth. From an industry perspective, Dr. Acosta is especially interested in those industries that are being transformed by recent technological advances. As an experienced management consultant, he had worked with stakeholders, both the leadership and subject matter experts, to build a holistic view of the organization's strategy, processes, information, and information technological assets. Some of the systems have been helped organizations to implement were ERP system, investment banking system, asset finance and management system, healthcare system, management information systems, and academic management systems. Dr. Acosta holds a BSc in Computer Engineering from Malappu Institute of Technology in 1993, MBA in Business Technology 1998, Masters of Business Education 2001, and PhD in Development Education specializing in Management Information Systems 2004, all from the University of Bagoy, Philippines. He is a Harvard Business School trained case methodology teacher, CPCL 2006, and IT leader, DIS 2008. He is an active member of the Institute of Professional Engineers, New Zealand, IPENZ, and Association for the Advancement of Computing in Education, AACE. He has a lot of publications and got a lot many awards for case writings. So, this is a short introduction to the speaker. He is a well-renowned person. So I welcome Dr. Acosta to take over the session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy and very honored to be with you today. Please confirm if you can hear me clearly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very clear, sir.
All right then. Very good. Thank you so much. So greetings from Africa, from Kenya. I'm very happy and very honored once again to be invited. So let me just share with you my screen. All right. So
yes, sir. It is good, sir.
Okay. All right. So the topic that was given to me is to talk about EM technology and kitchen waste management. I was very excited when I was listening to the previous speaker, and there are many questions about kitchen waste. Okay. This time we're going to deal with solid waste. Okay, or from your kitchen. As it was mentioned, I'm a senior lecturer of innovation, technology, and operations management here at Strathmore University Business School. Okay, so I've been here in Kenya for the past 16 years. All right, so now what am I doing with EM technology? Okay, so I'm a trained IT practitioner, information technology. Has nothing to do with microbes, and good bacteria and so on and so forth. Well, anyway, in my other life, which it was not mentioned, I'm also a farmer. Okay, I'm an organic farmer. I've been farming for many years now here in Kenya and also in the Philippines. At the same time, I would like to call myself as a scientist because I'm very interested in learning new sciences, new technologies on how to be a better farmer. Okay. At the same time, I'm also an entrepreneur. Okay. Yes, we are passionate about farming. We love to farm. We love to plant new and then vegetables and fruit trees. We want to take care of animals, but at the same time, it has to to make some economic sense. Okay, many farmers give up farming. Okay, agriculture because for them it's not profitable. So it is my lifetime mission and advocacy to three things: to help our farmers, to really love, go back to the farm, at the same time to help our farmers to be scientists, learn new technologies, at the same time to help our farmers to be entrepreneurs, to be business people. All right, because I believe that every farmer deserves financial independence. All right, so good. So our topic is about solid waste management and what's the role of EM technology here. So I think this is a common sight in many different places, in many different countries. We have a lot of garbage dump sites. Even here in Kenya, we have this problem, okay, of pollution and how to manage solid waste. And are you tired of seeing, by the way, infestation by flies because of garbage? So I think these common environmental and health problems need a solution. Okay, so what can we do as common, ordinary people to help solve this problem? And I think I'm not so sure if in India you are also experiencing some flooding, okay? And because of improper solid waste management, it's a common sight now to see, garbage floating in our community, in our rivers, in the ocean, and so on and so forth. All right. So, yeah, so these are some common problems that we experience almost every day in our places. So now I would like to introduce to you an innovation from Freddy's Farm. So this is my YouTube channel, by the way. I run a YouTube channel called Freddy's Farm, and I try to introduce new technologies and best practices in organic farming and also sustainability. All right, so I would like to introduce to you this innovation. It's a very simple way to recycle kitchen food waste using effective microorganisms. Okay, so I'll be discussing about effective microorganisms later. But nevertheless, because of us human beings, we eat every day, 3 times a day, sometimes even 4 times or 5 times, and we create or we produce a lot of kitchen waste, right? And if it's not managed very well, they go to the dump site. Okay. So EM technology was started in Japan, by the way, 20 years ago. Okay, it was started by a university professor, and I will discuss it later. And EM technology is being practiced in many different countries. I would like to believe even in India, EM technology is being used. Okay. So our objective is for this innovation, why I would like to introduce to you this is uh, we wanted to recycle organic waste instead of filling them up in our dump sites. All right. So I think one way to solve our, to eliminate or eradicate or even to lessen our dump sites is to solve the problem from its source. Okay. And that is in our kitchen. Okay. And of course, since we're going to manage this organic waste from our kitchen, we will be able to produce very effective compost and fertilizer in less time without, now we don't have foul odor and we don't have flies. Okay. All right. So what are the advantages? Of course, it's very easy to prepare. It's very easy to do. It can be done by anybody. Okay. And the thing is, there's no need to turn the garbage because they are now kept in a very secure and very handy container. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, there will be no flies, no foul odor. Okay. And this technology that I'm going to introduce to you can be adopted by anybody, even small scale farmers, backyard farmers, even large scale, farmers, can be adopted by urban gardeners, even orphanages, cafeteria operators, schools, okay, housewives, house helps, everybody, okay? So let me just introduce to you first what is EM technology. As I mentioned to you, it was uh, invented or discovered and propagated by a university professor. Okay, so right now EM technology has been introduced and is being used in more than 140 countries in the world. Okay, and so these are the commercial packaging of EM from all over the world. Okay, so unfortunately, I did not manage to see a commercial packaging of EM1 in India, but I saw here from Nepal, from Korea, from China, Mongolia, Cambodia, Malaysia, Australia, New Zealand. So in many different countries, EM is readily available, okay? And affordable, in fact, okay? So this is the commercial packaging in the Philippines. The one here in Kenya is color green, okay? The packaging is in color green. So this is Professor Teru Higa of University of Ryukyus, Okinawa, Japan. And he developed the EM technology in early 1980s, okay? So it's more than 20 years now. So what is EM? So EM really basically consists of safe and human-friendly microorganisms. So in the environment, there are three types of microorganisms. Okay, we have human-friendly or the good microorganisms. We have, of course, the bad microorganisms or the harmful microorganisms, and we have the neutral, okay, microorganisms. So if there are more pollution in the environment, means to say the bad or the harmful microorganisms are more dominant. And our objective is to introduce these safe and human-friendly microorganisms to overcome these bad or harmful microorganisms. Okay, so what are these different microorganisms that we are referring to that was developed or discovered by Professor Hirotiga? So first, we have what we call as the lactic acid bacteria. I'm sure you're familiar with cheese. You're familiar with yogurt. Okay, so the bacteria that is present in cheese, in yogurt, is the lactic acid bacteria. Okay, so it's very common. And of course, now we have the yeast. Yeast is another microorganism or another bacteria that we use when we are baking bread or we are fermenting beer. So we use yeast in the fermentation. So that's again another bacteria. And of course now we have phototropic bacteria. So let's try to understand more these different three bacteria. So the lactic acid bacteria, by the way, or the lab, its role is to decompose organic matter by fermentation. And then it also acts like a barrier, okay, to keep away harmful microbes, okay? So now it will not affect your plants, they will not affect your animals. So that's the function and that's the role of the lactic acid bacteria in EM technology. The other bacteria, which is the yeast, okay, yeast decomposes organic matter by fermentation, and then they produce that bioactive substances such as hormones, enzymes, and converted into plant food. So if we want to grow healthier plants, if we want to produce, more fruits, more yield, then that's the role and function of the yeast. And lastly, we have phototropic bacteria. So now we are talking about kitchen garbage here, and then animal shed, sludge, and so on and so forth. So basically what we're saying is this bad bacteria present in our garbage, okay, they produce ammonia, okay? So the phototropic bacteria is the one responsible in fighting this bad odor, offensive smell. So now we produce, in our animals' pen, sheds, we produce odorless, animal sheds or houses, okay? So if we spray this in our plants, this phototropic bacteria will increase the photosynthesis ability of the plants also, and then And the sugar content in the fruits or tomatoes can be increased, okay? All right, we have some people raising their hands. Maybe we can entertain some questions as of the moment, at this point. Yes, Ganesh?
Sir, that is a technical problem. So they are not aware of they are raising their hands.
Okay. All right, let me continue.
Yes, sir. Please continue, sir.
So EM technology is widely used for agriculture. All right, so as I mentioned, so EM technology increased yield and improved quality of production. So if you're a rice farmer or you're a vegetable farmer or a fruit, producing farmer, you can use EM technology. Okay. You can also use EM technology to manage your waste and then convert this waste into fertilizer. Okay. And of course, it has been proven that EM technology has really helped farmers to, to increase their produce or to have prolific yield. You can also use EM technology, okay, to produce bigger and sweeter, and more pest-resistant fruit trees. Even in your root crops, you can use EM technology. Has been proven in many different places. This cassava, for example, is a product of EM technology in agriculture. And of course, I don't know how do you call this vegetable, but it's also available here in Kenya. It's available in the Philippines, and I'm sure it's also available there in India. Okay, so if you have a fish pond, we can also use EM technology to promote the growth of your fish. At the same time, it can also help in cleaning and maintaining the quality of water and maintaining the amount of dissolved oxygen so that you're not going to experience any pollution or fish kill in your fish pond. So EM technology plays a very important role in fish farming. There are in many different places, especially in the Philippines, they are now, having what we call as odorless pig pens. Okay, here in Kenya, in Kenya, I am not buying any dog shampoo. I'm using EM technology, by the way, to bathe my pet dog. All right. Here in Kenya, I have an organic pig farm as well. So we use EM technology a lot. So EM technology will eliminate foul odor. It will also make your dog fur shiny. It can eliminate ticks and flies if used repeatedly, and no need for soap and pet shampoo. So it could be very economical as well, aside from its environment friendly. EM technology can be used for animal husbandry. You can spray EM into your poultry sheds, okay? You can use EM bokashi. I will discuss EM bokashi later and into your feed. So now one of the problems, by the way, of farmers is really feed production, because 70 to 80% of our costs is for our animal feeds. Okay, so EM technology can be very useful in reducing the cost of feeds. You can also put EM into the drinking water of your animals. Okay, so EM can control foul odor and flies, prevent disease by improving immune system. Remember the lactic acid bacteria that we mentioned a while ago? So it can really improve the immune system of our animals so that now they will not get sick. So improve the quality of products, right? Eggs, milk, meat, okay? and can reduce costs of the waste management because we're going to do composting and then wastewater treatment as well. All of this can be achieved through EM technology. So EM technology can also be used to eliminate foul odor and enhance the decomposition of organic matter. So if you have a dump site, you can use EM technology, by the way, to eliminate foul odor, to eliminate flies, and then to improve the composition of this organic matter. And in return, we can produce fertilizer that can be used now to produce to grow plants. Okay. So in fact, in Thailand, okay, you remember that tsunami in 2005, where many people died, perished because of the tsunami. The Thai government, they use EM technology to disinfect, okay, to spray EM technology in their surroundings, okay? Again, because of the function of EM technology to block this harmful, bad bacteria to dominate the environment. So we introduce good bacteria to overcome them, okay? And in other places, say in Malaysia, they're using EM technology, okay? Here, you can use EM now to revitalize, nature. So in this small creek or small river, okay, so before applying EM, it's really full of sludge. And then after 3 months of EM application, the sludge disappeared completely. Okay, so again, because of the good bacteria that are present in EM technology. So EM technology, so this is in Thailand. They use now EM technology in cleaning lakes, okay, including rivers. This is also in Thailand. So again, if you have polluted rivers and lakes and other bodies of water, you can use EM technology. All right, so going back to our topic for today, I would like to introduce to you this innovation that we developed here at Freddy's Farm. I would like to call this one kitchen waste composter. Okay, so it's very easy to copy. By the way, I give you permission to do this, to copy and to implement this in your own household, in your school, in your community, and even, even in the country. So it's made from 100% recycled material. Even this containers is recycled material. You can use buckets, okay, or pails. The ideal design is you use a 20-liter capacity bucket or pail, and then you put some drainage here so that now you can drain the compost juice completely. So this is now the compost juice. It's light brown in color. There's no smell, but it smells like fermented, sour, sweet smell, okay, which can be used as a foliar fertilizer, okay? So this kitchen waste is undergoing what we call as anaerobic fermentation, means to say there's no air, no oxygen, okay? All right, so this is now the design of this kitchen waste composter. So there's a hole there, and then this is the inner bin with holes also, so that now it will drain the water, okay? And then now you can remove the water using this faucet, okay? So this is now the bottom side of the composter. So as I mentioned, there are holes to drain the liquid, and then there is a faucet now wherein you can collect the liquid, okay? So this is a bigger, how do you call this one? Maybe a 200-liter drum composter for large scales, maybe for schools, for hospitals, for even for businesses. If you produce a lot of kitchen waste, maybe it's advisable to use now a 200-liter container, okay? So this is the process of recycling. So yeah, every day we do cooking, okay, and then people eat, and then any leftover food or any kitchen waste, we put in our composter, and then we ferment this for 2 weeks using EM bokashi. And then after 2 weeks, we put this in our garden, we bury the waste, and then after 2 weeks, now we can start planting. Okay, so it's just this is the cycle. Okay, so yeah, so there's no waste practically. So these are the materials that we are needed. So of course we need our kitchen garbage composter, and then we need bokashi. A bokashi is a Japanese term meaning fermented organic matter using EM. And then of course we need fresh kitchen garbage or fresh kitchen waste. Okay, so the steps is very simple. So we gather all our kitchen scraps, okay, and then we layer them, and we layer this kitchen garbage and bokashi inside the composter. So for every 1 kg of kitchen waste, we need only 100 grams of bokashi. Okay, I will show you later of how I produce bokashi, so that now you can do it also at home, or if someone would like to do a business, a startup business and producing bokashi, and you sell. Here in Kenya, I'm selling 1 kg of bokashi for $2. Okay, that's 200 Kenya shillings here in Kenya. So it's a good business, by the way. It's a very profitable one. So you repeat the layering of kitchen garbage and bokashi until the composter becomes full. All right. And so the topmost layer should be covered with bokashi. Okay. So yeah. So when it's full, then you have to cover the composter when it's already full and maintain an aerobic condition for 2 weeks. Okay, or 15 days. And then make sure that the garbage container or the composter is sealed on an airtight condition, and then place in a shaded area without direct sunlight. Okay, and then every 3 days you drain the liquid. This liquid can be used to fertilize the soil by drenching, or you can spray direct to your plants. Okay, so the dilution rate is 1:200, meaning for every 1 liter of water, you can put 5 ml of this liquid. Okay, so can also be used as a foliar fertilizer. Yes, Dr. Tusha, you are raising your hand. Any question?
Sir, sir, you can answer the question at the end of the session, sir. You continue now.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
very
you.
much, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. So after 15 days, when you open your composter, you will see these white molds. So it is an indication that we have good bacteria present. Okay, so once you open this kitchen waste are already partially composted. Okay, uh, decomposed. Okay, so now you can bury them in the soil, under the soil where you wish to plant. Okay, your vegetable plants. Okay, or even fruit trees. So dump all the contents of the composter lining up into the open pit. All right, so this you can do, by the way. So you have to cover the kitchen garbage with soil and wait for 2 to 3 weeks before planting. Okay, so the soil is now ready for planting after 2 weeks. Then the kitchen garbage has fully decomposed with the help of effective microorganisms that we introduce in our garbage. All right. So this is just a sample application into the soil. For every 1 square meter, you can put 1 kilogram of our kitchen waste, right? And for food trees, you can bury this kitchen waste under their trees, okay? And then you can cover them, and then you can plant on top of them after 2 weeks. So these are just example of crops grown using kitchen waste. You can grow cabbages, you can grow lettuce, okay? And you can see how healthy your vegetables would be if you use this as fertilizer, okay? So what we are saying is in organic farming, it is a continuous process of recycling. The more we recycle, the more we become sustainable. And of course, if we throw our waste, it will just be wasted, okay? But if we recycle our waste, then maybe we can save the world, all right? Let me just show you a short video of how we use, how we do this at home. So now you will have an idea of how we do this. Okay, so I have uploaded this video, by the way, in my YouTube channel, as I mentioned to you, at Freddy's Farm. So you can watch this again. Wait, let me stop first. Let me share the audio video. Yeah.
Give me. You smell it? There's no smell?
No smell.
There's no smell.
The trees.
So this is our taka-taka composter. And that's enough, I think. Okay, and then cover completely. So this one is filled already. Kabisa. Okay. Now we're going to start the new one. Put the composting agent first before you put the other garbage.
Yes, Lord.
Inside my garage, you can also collect the liquid.
This one or this one?
That one?
Yeah.
Yes. Give me. You smell it? There's no smell?
This one.
There's no smell.
Juice.
Eh?
Like juice.
Like juice? No, you can bring that down to the SQ. Yeah, can you collect also liquid from there? The red one? Alright, folks. If you want to order, we have plenty of composting agents already. All these two green ones are composting agents. I have 3 extra buckets here. You can order if you like. Okay. Thank you. All right. So maybe you are wondering how to produce the composting agent or the bokashi. Okay, so I'm going to show you another video of how I produce my EM bokashi. So you can copy. By the way, you can do it. You can start a business. All right. Let me just share another screen. Uh, Give me a minute. I'm looking for that video. Yeah, that's the one. Hi guys, today I'm going to show you on how to make anaerobic bokashi. So for full description of what is an anaerobic bokashi, you can follow the link below, or you can read at the description level, right? So the materials I'm going to use are 3 things. All right. So the materials I'm going to use, I have rice bran, sawdust, and coffee ground. So the ratio is 1:1. Is to 1. Right? Be sure to mix completely. Right? We will need also imas. That's the EM, by the way. We need more water. So this is the right moisture content. All right, when you squeeze, there's no drop of water that will flow here. At the same time, when you squeeze, you'll form, you'll retain the form of your substrates. But then when you do like this, okay, it breaks so easily. That's the best moisture, right? 40 to 50% moisture only. Right? Then let's put back to our container. Ferment for 2 weeks. Let me show you the bokashi that I have previously formulated. Here. Can you see the white molds? Those are our effective microorganisms, right? And let me show you how I use this bokashi for my kitchen waste composting. This is my kitchen waste composter. See? Now, let me add more kitchen waste. Yeah? And then I will add bokashi. For every 1 kilo of kitchen waste, you need only 100 grams of bokashi. Right? So that's it. So I hope you're going to do this. It's a very good fertilizer as well. Again, follow the link below on how to make your own aerobic and anaerobic bokashi. Okay, so that's it for today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and tumsifu Yose Kristo, milele na milele. Amin. Be blessed, everyone. Bye, and keep safe. All right, I would like to stop there. I'm now open for some questions.
Sir, yes, sir. We have got so many questions, sir.
Yes.
Can we use EM for plastic degradation is one question, sir.
No, only organic matter, not for plastic.
Sir, did not get what the colored liquid is.
Light brown. The color of the liquid will be light brown, and then smells like sweet sour fermented smell.
Sir, what is EM bokashi means?
Bokashi is a Japanese terminology. It's called fermented organic matter. Okay, so as I have shown to you in the how I formulated the bokashi, I'm using rice bran. I think it's available in India. Okay, it's a byproduct of milling rice. Okay, and
Yes.
then I use sawdust. Okay, and then I use coffee ground. You know, when you brew coffee, the byproduct is the
Sure.
coffee ground. Okay, so those are the three raw materials that I'm using in producing EM bokashi.
Sir, do we have any alternatives apart from these three? Like coffee brewing is not so famous in India. So can we have anything alternative for that?
You can only use rice bran. If you have only rice bran, just use rice bran.
Okay, so fermenting the rice, no, that is enough.
Yes, that would be enough.
Thank you, sir. And sir, there are multiple questions asking you whether we can copy your model.
Yes,
You
you
have
are
already
welcome.
answered.
Yes.
People are again answer. Let me check for more questions, sir. Sir, what is the quantity produced for 1 kg of waste? About the liquid quantity.
Oh, for the quantity for that 1 kg, maybe about maybe 50 ml of liquid.
Sir, there was a question like ingredients, but you have already shared, sir. Thank you. There are multiple repeated questions, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So we are taking only. I will allow the participants to on their mic, sir. They can talk. Mr. Poto Peter, Nivedata.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. It was a wonderful initiative and idea taken up by you. But would you recommend it for large areas too, like who have some 3 to 5 acres of land farming? So, like, isn't it, does it take too long to do, or is it suggestible for them to?
There is a farmer in the Philippines who made it a successful business just to produce bokashi. Okay, just to produce bokashi. In fact, they are not using this shovel anymore. They're using heavy equipment already. So you can mass produce EM bokashi. That's
Okay, sir.
possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Poto Peter, can you unmute your mic and pose the question? Dr. Nageshwar Amanchi, sir.
One question is there in the chat box.
Sure, please.
Yeah, is it ecozyme or garbage enzyme? They're asking.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Is it eco enzyme or garbage enzyme?
I am not getting. Can you...
Garbage enzyme or eco enzyme?
So the garbage from the kitchen waste?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So they are eco-friendly. Yes, because the microbes will neutralize any bad bacteria, any disease-causing pathogens from the substrates. Okay. In fact, even you can use even how they call this one, vegetables from the supermarket, wherein chemicals have been applied in producing those vegetables. If you ferment it using EM technology, it can neutralize those chemicals, overcome those chemicals. So it's eco-friendly. Yes, that's correct.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question, sir. What exact effect of EM on garbage, 2 or 3 weeks? What will temperature and humidity required in summer?
Very good. So while it is fermenting, the temperature will increase, will go high, okay, up to even 40 degrees centigrade, okay? And yeah, so the moisture content would be about 50% moisture content. You will be producing liquid as a consequence or a byproduct of the fermentation process. Okay, so as you have seen in the video, we are collecting the liquid, and this liquid can be used as a folia. Okay.
Sir, there is one more question, sir. Which microbes are in the EM? And there is also a related question. How can we identify the molds grown there?
Okay, so the microbes, as I mentioned, we have the lactic acid bacteria, and then we have yeast, and we have phototropic bacteria. Now, how do you identify if you have good bacteria? We are cooking rice, isn't it? So if you cook rice, and then you put it in a, say, for example, in a container, cook rice, and then put in a container, and then cover it with paper, and then plastic, and then put it under a bamboo tree.
Yes.
And then after a week, you open the rice. If you see white molds from the rice, you have collected good bacteria from the environment. If you see black or dark green molds, then you have collected the bad bacteria. Okay, so the color, it will help you determine if you have the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. So as you have seen in my bokashi, you saw white molds, means to say the good bacteria are present in my bokashi.
Sir, how can we translate bokashi into English or something?
Bokashi is just simply mean fermented organic matter. That's the literal meaning of bokashi. Okay, fermented organic matter.
Sir, thank you, sir. Miss CL Monica, you can unmute your mic and pose the question. Next, Ashu.
Sir?
Yes, madam.
Yes.
Sir, a very nice presentation. My question is, in the YouTube, I could see you adding some liquid also to mix it. Sir?
Yeah, that's water.
You mixed some orange color liquid? No, nothing.
No, it's just
simple water.
Yeah, simply water. Unchlorinated water. Okay, no chlorine, because chlorine kills bacteria, either
Is
good
it
or
not
bad bacteria.
Is it not the liquid that we have already collected before?
No. Ordinary
Okay.
water. But
Okay,
no
thank you,
chlorine.
sir.
No chlorine, please. No chlorine.
Thank you, sir.
So I think most of the questions are answered, sir. We have Ashu Vijay Pai Vajipai. Please unmute your mic and pose the question, madam.
Good afternoon, sir. Very nice presentation indeed.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
I just wanted to understand, is it feasible to carry out such work in the laboratories of the biological laboratories, as in the biosciences labs at school and colleges as well?
Oh, yes. In fact, Professor Teruhiga developed EM technology in the laboratory.
Okay. So, sir, can we seek some guidance from you on this front if this is taken further and done at laboratory level?
I'm not really a biologist or a scientist per se.
No, sir. If some troubleshooting is required during the process, so
sure.
can we?
Sure. I will share to you or with you my email address and my WhatsApp number, and you can always contact me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Sir, I am very happy to ask all these questions, sir. I am also a research scholar working on biological enzymes, sir, BE. This is also very similar, very near to the process you have mentioned, sir. So a lot of similarity between the work I am doing and the work you have shared, sir. So really very glad. And I can also suggest such people like Ashu Vajpayee or anybody. As I'm working in Hyderabad, Usmania University, some people near me can also approach me at a preliminary level. Maybe at for higher things, you can approach Fred Acosta, sir. We are really glad, sir, because this is very cheap, and this using this mechanism, actually the solid waste management cost will be reduced to a greater extent. So that should be noted. And all the speakers, all the participants are looking at different aspects too, but this has to be looked. The right perspective to look at this process is like managing the solid waste management, and that is a huge problem the world today is facing. And as part of the green budgeting, this technique and this innovation what you have shared with us at a household level, this is a greater thing, sir, because at household level if you are doing this, and at the production of the liquid will be in a large scale. So thanks for sharing that, sir. I think we have done with most of the questions. So over to Shashikala, madam. Sir, there is also one different questions asking how to clean the lake, how to clean River Ganga. In India, it is a famous River Ganga. So people are asking regarding that. Can you throw some light on that too, sir?
All right. So maybe I can use as an example. I used to have a small fish pond in my backyard here, and I raised catfish. Okay, and I fed the catfish with earthworms only. If you're familiar with earthworms, I think the next topic, there's a topic about vermiculture. No? So I'm doing vermiculture as well. So I'm producing plenty of worms, and I don't know what to do with them. So now I raise catfish. Okay. So catfish, the droppings of the catfish, they somehow reside at the bottom. They become sludge, and they produce ammonia. Okay, and if pollution will worsen to the extent of there's no more dissolved oxygen in the water. Okay, so I use EM, simply EM. Okay, to clean the water, and for the good bacteria to eat the sludge at the bottom of my fish pond. Okay, and I came up with another innovation, EM mud balls. Okay, so I use the bokashi, okay, and then mix it with soil, and then create a ball, a size of a tennis ball. Okay, and then ferment it, and then that ball will be surrounded with white molds. Okay, and then you drop it into the water, and then it will slowly disintegrate, and then the microbes will eat the sludge at the bottom of the fish pond. The same principle applies. If you throw these mud moles into the lakes, into the rivers, and so on and so forth, or even, the problem with the liquid form is it will stay at the surface. You understand?
Yes.
But the problem is at the bottom, the sludge. So you have to make a ball hard enough so that now it can go down the bottom of the lake and then let the microbes do the miracle. They will eat the sludge. Yeah, to answer your question.
Great, sir. Over to Sasikala, madam. She is my mentor. We are working on almost the same area. Madam, throw your light, madam.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Acosta, sir, you have given your valuable time. Actually, to be honest, when we saw your CV, we were in a dilemma how this biological subject can be dealt by a computer science specialist. Now we our doubts are cleared like anything, and it is you are multidimensional, sir, and your knowledge is also very wider. This is one thing, and another thing is the whatever the lecture you have given is very apt to this program, sir. It is from a small household to the larger level we can do this, and it is even income generating source also, sir. So any students or scholars or even the institutions also can adopt this, and they can even earn money. The topic which you have dealt is very, very useful to the participants and also to this theme, sir. Thank you very, very much. And now I will ask Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, sir, to throw some light, reflect on these lectures.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
Dr. Acosta.
Good evening, doctor.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Great to see you, sir. And it's a great day for us. We had a very valuable session. I think most of our participants definitely would start this technique today onwards because they are not that much eager. And actually, while framing this course, I was told by one of hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Father D'Souza introduced you, sir. I must thank. Yes, I must thank Father D'Souza, who also taught the technique to my brother, who stayed in Africa and just a few minutes back landed in India. And
yes. Father Arwil, I met him in Tanzania. I went to Tanzania and trained his old staff in EM technology.
Yeah, great to see you on this platform. And many of farmers attempt suicides here. If this type of technology is introduced, definitely that would be stopped, and they can come out from those depths, and they get good profit from their agriculture farms. And also, this can be introduced in different colleges, because some colleges are attached with the hostels, and we get much of waste from the hostels. And that can be converted, and that can be used to the college gardens. So really, sir, and whenever there is help from your side, please cooperate with us and guide us so that we can implement this type of technologies in our colleges or schools, or even in our households, sir. Thank you so much once again. And thanks to Father D'Souza, and thanks to Father Professor Acosta, on behalf of particularly organizing committee, Dr. Amanchi Nageshwara and Dr. Shashikala. Our participants are very fortunate enough to have such a wonderful talk from you, sir. Really, you inspired all of our participants. Really, just now I'm seeing.
Thank you. Most welcome.
190, 95. All the participants. over to Shashikala.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Now I'll request Nageshwar Rao, sir, to reflect on the lecture, sir.
Yeah, thank you, madam. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Acosta, for your enlightened, beautiful lecture this today evening. And definitely, we hope that our participants are very much happy, satisfied from your lecture. You can see in the chat box. We will be approaching you in the future activities also. Wherever possible, please extend your help to us. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, and you're most welcome. I will be happy to present again.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Madam, unmute your mic and speak.
Yes. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and the time here and time in your country nearly 2.5 hours late. So you might be in your office in spite of your regular schedule. You have given your time spared for us. We are very grateful to you, sir, and also we are very thankful to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Too.
Thank you. Thank you. Srijan?
Madam.
Srijan, are there any announcements or instructions to be given to the participants? If so, please go on.
Thank you, dear all participants. We need some time to create the feedback and attendance form for this session. So give us one more hour. By 5:30, I'll be posting it in the groups. We are unable to share that in the Zoom chat box right now, but we'll be posting in the chat WhatsApp groups. Thanks for your cooperation, dear participants. Thank you.
One more announcement I would like to give you is all the participants, please bear with us. Some of the lectures are going beyond the time, because information is very important, time is not important, because we all are in free time only, I hope, and our intention is to utilize this time, and our intention is to transfer knowledge from the eminent persons. So sometimes we are extending our sessions because very valuable information is coming continuously. So that's why we are extending our times, but starting time is exactly we are starting. So bear with us, enjoy the lectures, and you fill all the feedback forms, and you regularly present all the sessions, so that it will be easy for us to give you the certificates. Thank you very much. Tomorrow the session will start by a sharp 10 o'clock as usual. Thank you very much.
Srijan?
Sir.
Madam, Acosta sir has shared his links and all the details. So kindly ask Srijan to save all those details so that we can post again tomorrow also.
Okay. Srijan, are you able to hear?
Srijan, is it audible?
You can do also. Karthik, you can do no.
Karthik.
Yeah, ma'am.
You can copy these links and we can post tomorrow also. Those who have missed the session, that will be useful.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Chat. Yes, ma'am. Sir, I'm ending the session. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Madam.
Acosta sir and Nageshwar sir, Vijay Bhaskar Reddy sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Karthik, bye.
Bye, ma'am.